What's going on, y'all? What is really good? So you see the title of tonight's video, you see the thumbnail. Tonight we're talking about mental health. Mental health, the importance of maintaining a positive outlook and healthy mental attitude. You know, one thing that keeps me sane amongst a number of things. Tonight's just going to be a bit of a flow of consciousness. But one thing that's kept me sane and kept me very resilient throughout my life is the serenity prayer. The serenity prayer says, God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Now, tonight I was going to make a video about the recent attacks that occurred on Russian soil. We saw hundreds of civilians, innocent civilians, get bombed on the beach. And we're going to talk about that very briefly. I was going to talk about that, play some clips, and kind of talk about emergency preparedness and the need to stay vigilant in these times that we're living in. But you know, sometimes a lot of the things I talk about on this channel, I talk about reparations, I talk about the wars in Israel and Ghana, not Ghana, but Gaza. I talk about the wars between Russia and Ukraine. I talk about the need for emergency preparedness. I talk about news and current events. But in focusing on a lot of these things, if you're not careful, it's easy to lose yourself in in the negativity. It's easy to lose yourself in the the constant the constant fight to change policies, US government policies. And a lot of times it feels like I'm fighting an uphill battle, right? I'm pushing the stone up the hill, not making a lot of progress. And in the times that I feel this way, I always go back to the serenity prayer, right? God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Sometimes when I'm getting too deep down some of these rabbit holes, I just decide, hey, I'm not going to record. But then I feel as though I'm robbing the people because I know there's a lot of people out there that enjoy watching my videos and enjoy hearing what I have to say on these different topics. So finding that balance sometimes for me is a struggle of, continuing to fight the good fight while maintaining a positive mental attitude and maintaining my own personal mental health. One book that I read a number of times, one of my favorite books in the world, one of my favorite books, which really I can credit and say changed my life, was reading the book by Dale Nightingale, How to Win Friends and Influence People. And in that book, one of the things that I found really interesting, he goes into detail about how people have a need to feel important. He says that scientists have found, upon doing autopsies on mental insane patients who have been diagnosed with mental insanity, scientists have found that the vast majority, I think in the book they say over 80%, the vast majority of mental health patients, after they die and autopsies are done on their brains, show no sign of physical impairment. A lot of folks who are a lot of folks who are mentally insane, they're schizophrenic, bipolar schizophrenic. A lot of times we try to blame it on chemical imbalances in the brain, but as Dale Nightingale in his book How to Win Friends and Influence People points out, a lot of those folks just have a need to feel important. I have friends who have suffered and who are currently suffering from bipolar schizophrenia, and when they're going through their mental episodes, a lot of times it gets paranoid. They say, I think the Illuminati is watching me. I've had people say, I've had a friend in particular that I'm thinking of say that I'm a member of the Illuminati and the Illuminati is watching. It's crazy what the mind will do when the reality doesn't match up with our own egos and our own senses of importance. When we think we're so important, but when we look out in the world, our reality shows we're just ordinary. We're just normal people. Like John Legend says, we're just ordinary people. We don't know which way to go. All right, we're just normal folks. But a lot of times our egos trick us into thinking that we're supposed to be bigger. We're supposed to. That's the funny thing. We're supposed. Like, who told you that? Who told you you're supposed to be anything other than what you are? Who told you you're supposed to be successful? Like, everyone in this world is entitled to success, right? But a lot of times we can, if we don't manage our own expectations, if we don't manage our own, delusions of grandeur, if we don't manage our own egos and pride and senses of importance, it's easy for us to lose ourselves, become depressed, and suffer all types of mental health illnesses. Right? So today I'm just acknowledging the fact that, it is an important thing that we maintain healthy mental attitudes. Our mental health is just as important as our physical health, and our physical health does influence our mental health. I can tell you, as someone who, I enjoy going to the gym. If I don't go to the gym for a couple of days, let a week go by and I don't go to the gym, I can feel my mind start to get depressed. One of my favorite, as I said, tonight's just want to be a bit of a stream of consciousness here, but one of my favorite motivational speakers is a man by the name of Jim Rohn. Jim Rohn is one of my favorite motivational speakers. And in watching him, he says something in a lot of his talks. He says, every discipline influences the other. All right. So if you think, oh, well, I'm just going to take the J off from the gym today, the discipline of, you usually maintain the discipline of going to the gym on a regular schedule, but you decide, I'm just going to slack off today. I'm not going to go to the gym. Well, that can influence you because instead of going to the gym, you say, instead of going to the gym, I'm going to go get a drink with my friends, right? So already you traded one area of discipline, which would have been going to the gym. Instead of doing that, you go to drink with your friends. So not only did you miss one area of discipline, which was going to the gym, now you added another area of lack of discipline, which is going out, which wasn't originally the plan. Because you go out that night, the next day you wake up late, you might be late for work. Now, this is just a hypothetical situation, but this is an example of how one discipline, which would have been going to the gym instead of going out with your friends, one area of lack of discipline influences other areas. So every area of discipline affects the other. And one thing that I've found in my own personal life is I'm in the best mental state when I'm clicking on all cylinders. When I'm maintaining good discipline as far as going to the gym or going to work on time or uploading YouTube videos, working on my business, whatever have you, when I'm maintaining those disciplines on target, on schedule, my mental state is usually in a better place. But when I start to slack, When I decide, hey, I'm going to take off a couple of days from the gym. When I decide, oh, instead of maintaining my sobriety, I'm going to go get a drink with my friends. Instead of, reading with my son, I'm going to let him take a nap. I'm just going to let him sit down in front of the TV and watch a movie with me. When I start to slack on my disciplines, I can see every area of my life get worse. Maintaining consistent discipline affects every area of your life. You think, oh, going to the gym only affects your physical health, but no. I submit to you that maintaining good physical health affects your mental health as well, right? I submit to you that if anyone who has ever been fired or ever been unemployed, a lot of times you think if you go on vacation, it's effectively the same as being unemployed, right? Take this for example. When you go on vacation, you're not going to work, right? By definition, you're on vacation, you're not working. But who has ever gone on like a week long vacation and by the third day you're like, why am I on vacation? I want to go back to work. Am I the only one? Am I the only one who does that or who has done that? You go on vacation. Yes, I get to take some time off work. I'm tired of working. You take a couple days off. By day three, you're like, listen, I want to get back to work. Like, forget this vacation. Vacation sucks. Doesn't matter what you're doing. You could be traveling. You could be seeing it. You could be staying active. But after a few days of not working, you feel like I would rather work. I would rather work than vacation. It might just be me, but I know for a fact that I felt that way. It's because, you know, taking a vacation, taking a step back in moderation is nice. But the Most High already gave us the recipe for our week. See, the Most High worked 6 days and he rested on the Sabbath, right? He rested for one. I submit to you that you start to you take off one day a week, okay, cool. That gives you some rest. You take off 2 days a week, hey, we call that a weekend, right? You start taking 3, 4, 5 days a week, now that balance is just shifted from being productive, from being, making progress to what you would call laziness. And it might just be me, but every time I've been lazy, the fruits of that laziness has affected me mentally negatively, more so than when I'm being productive, when I'm being disciplined. That has always affected me positively. So I would say it's important to stay consistent and stay disciplined while managing expectations. Shout out to Emmanuel Briggs. Salute, brother. He says developing and mastering your discipline is definitely beneficial. Absolutely. In every area of your life. In every area of your life. You know, right now, looking at military affairs, they're changing laws in order to automatically register the young folks for the draft. Prior to that new legislation, the U.S. military's recruitment has been low, has been very low. And one of the reasons that the military, usmilitary.gov, points to for this low recruitment is a large portion of our population is not physically fit. A large portion of our youth, in particular, military age men, are already obese, they're out of shape, and even if they wanted to, they wouldn't be able to fight. They couldn't run 4 blocks. They couldn't run around the block 4 times without passing out from exhaustion. Now, you might think that's just bad as far as, their physical state. But I submit to you that there's more than just physical exhaustion that comes with obesity. What comes with obesity and lack of physical fitness a lot of times is poor mental health because the two are tied. Your mental health and your physical health, the two are tied. The two are inextricably linked. It's important to maintain good physical health because of the effects that it will have on your mind. And when you have an obese population, that is an outward manifestation. Obesity is an outward manifestation of poor mental health, I would suggest to you, in my opinion, from what I've seen, from what I've found. From what I've found is how does obesity come about? It comes about from overeating, which is gluttony. Gluttony in and of itself is a lack of discipline as far as what you're putting into your body, which shows in your outward appearance, which would be obesity. Right? Not only does it show gluttony, a lack of discipline as far as what you're putting in your body, it shows a lack of control over your body because you're not moving in order to burn those calories. Nobody likes going to the gym. Nobody likes running for miles. Nobody likes, well, I like going to the gym. I'm not gonna lie to you. I like it. But when I'm in the gym, I have to tell myself, come on, man, come on. Get one more rep in. Come on. Get one more set in. Come on. Get one more exercise in. I don't want to be there. I'd rather be on the couch watching TV. But by having the control to force myself to do what I don't want to do, in the long run and later on, I get to see the benefits. The benefits being I'm relatively physically fit. I'm not obese. I can say that. I'm not obese. Right? And the older we get, because I know I got a lot of young folks on here that watch me, the older we get, the more that's going to pay dividends. Both on our mental state and our physical state. Again, the two are linked. Mental health and physical health, the two are linked. Now, I'm not saying that physical fitness is a cure all because there's a lot of physically fit people who are suicidal. There's a lot of physically fit people who have poor, terrible mental states. I can name you multiple, Olympic gold medalists like Caitlyn Jenner, right? I can name multiple athletes and bodybuilders who have decided to cut off their genitals. Right? I mean, just think about the mental health that you have to be in. A lot of people say, "Oh, we should show compassion," but my compassion is showing, "Hey, this is a sad situation. This is a reflection of poor mental health. If you hate yourself, you hate your body. That's a sad thing. I empathize. I feel bad for those folks who suffer that type of mental illness, gender dysphoria. That sounds like a horrible situation to live with. That sounds like a horrible situation to live with. But all of these things, as I'm saying, gender dysphoria or body dysmorphia, these are real mental illnesses which are attached to your physical being. So it's important to understand the link between our physical health and our mental health. Right, right. So these days, a lot of kids like to play video games. I'm one of them. I don't know if I would call myself a gamer, but I like playing games. One game that I've been playing a lot recently on my phone is this game called Zuba. It's an interesting game. where you got different animals, foxes, lizards, snakes, rhinos, lions, tigers, all types of animals, penguins, and you're going around trying to be the last survivor in this mad zoo. Right? It's a game called Zuba, and as you play the game, this game Zuba or any game for that matter, one thing that you find is over time your character starts to level up. Right? The longer you play, the better you get at the game. The better you get at the game, the stronger your character becomes. And there's something that's interesting about not just the game that I like to play, but all games, especially non-RPG games, but all games, competitive games, is you can see the level up that comes over time as you continue to play. We call that leveling up your character. Your character gets stronger and stronger the more you play, right? But it's important to level ourselves up in reality. A lot of times we spend a lot of times gamers. I include myself in that category when I'm talking about gamers. We spend time here playing the game, trying to level up our character, trying to get stronger. And I find myself when I'm playing my game, I'm playing my Zooba. A lot of times I'm thinking, man, I'm playing this game and it's fun, but I could be using this time to level myself up. I could be using this time to read another book. I could be using this time to practice my harmonica. I could be using this time to, take my son outside for a jog, for a walk, right? Playing games, leveling up our characters. Even when I'm at my job, my 9 to 5, I'm thinking about my business. In the words of Jim Rohn, if you do a good job, you can make a living. But if you go to work doing a good job on yourself, you can make a fortune. And, I didn't really understand that until I got to my 30s. When I was in my 20s, they always were trying to push us, oh, you need to be an entrepreneur. All black people need to be entrepreneurs. You got to start your business. I remember when I was dating, I'm not dating, I'm off the scene now, I'm not dating anymore. But when I was dating, I felt like I was getting shamed by some people for having a job instead of having a career or having a business, right? There's not a lot of love out here for young for young job workers. Not for black men. If you're a black man, you working a job, it's not as rewarding as you might think. You get a lot of shame. It's like when you're in school and you're getting good grades. You would think that's a good thing, but in the black community, especially for black men, a lot of black men recognize that you get shamed for doing what you're supposed to do. A lot of times you're in school, you're getting good grades. What do they say? Oh, you're a nerd. They have this term, nigga nerd, right? Oh, it's nothing worse than a nigga nerd. Black man who's trying to get smart. You like reading? You're raising your hand in class? You're trying to get good grades? I'm not saying everyone shames these folks, but when you're a kid, other kids, a lot of other kids will shame you for being a nigga nerd, right? Which is sad, which is unfortunate. So when you get done with school, you go out and you get a job, then folks are like, "Oh, I'm not impressed. Oh, you got a job, huh? That's nice. You got a job. That's not a You're not an entrepreneur. In our community, entrepreneurs get all the praise. Job workers, not so much. Not so much love for the job workers. And I think that this is good and bad. It's good to encourage entrepreneurship because entrepreneurship allows you to have some ownership, have some control over your long term goal, your long term destiny, as opposed to working a job where in America we're at will employees. You can get fired at any time, you can lose your job at any time, but you can never get fired from your business. You can never get fired as an entrepreneur. So it's good that our community uplifts and promotes entrepreneurship. I think that's a good thing. But to the youth, I think there's not enough guidance as far as how to become an entrepreneur. I think to the youth, we spend so much time. At least this was my experience. Maybe you've had a different experience, y'all out there. Y'all can tell me if I'm right or if I'm wrong on this one. But from my experience, I've seen a lot of platforms promote entrepreneurship, but they don't really explain how you're supposed to become an entrepreneur when you don't have any money and you've got bills. You got bills. Look, your rent is due now. Your rent is due now. Your grocery bill is due now. Your phone bill is due now. Your Wi-Fi bill is due now. We've all got bills. As even as young folks, when you're 22, 23, 24, when you're 20s, look, you got bills now. And everyone's telling you should be in entrepreneurship, but you're like, well, I got to get this job. Like, I got to get some money now. I don't have time to build a business for myself, right? The platform, and like I said, it's good to be pushing entrepreneurship, but I think it needs to be explained more in more detail to the youth that hey, the best way that I've seen, me personally, now there's a lot of different routes to go, but from what I've seen, the best way to do it is to get yourself a job and use the money from the job to fund your own business. This is what I've seen. This is what is working for me. I'm still in the progress. I'm not going to say I'm, the epitome of success or anything, but this is the experience that I've had, and these are the lessons that I've learned in my brief time on this planet as a citizen of the United States. I've found that the best way to get this whole, especially as a young black man, because some other communities they can just tap into their families and be like, oh, just you know, like Trump, give me $1 million, Dad, and I'll turn that. I'll get some real estate investments. Like, all right, in the black community, we don't all have rich fathers and rich uncles who we can just get $1 million small loan, as Trump likes to say. We can't just get $1 million small loan from our father and invest that in real estate. And if we lose it, hey, that's okay. A zero interest loan from our parents. We can't all do that. So for the masses out there, for the ordinary black folks, the normal young black man who might be watching this show, I would say, the best thing to do, or what has worked for me, one thing you might want to consider is using whatever 9 to 5 you have, whatever job you can get. Just take 10% of that and set it aside for savings. Take another 10% of that and invest it into your own business, whatever your business might be. Now, the hard part might be figuring out what your business is. That's a story for another day. As I said, today, guys, is just a bit of a stream of consciousness. Just a bit of a stream of consciousness. Kind of going off on the things that I've learned. And, because I wanted to take today easy. I wanted to upload a video. I wanted to show up. And I like this diagram. I wish I could have found it before this video. There's a diagram of saying, you know, showing up is half the battle, but they don't ever explain when you show up, you're not always going to be at 100%. I wanted to make a video today, but I'm not necessarily at 100%. But I feel like coming and speaking my mind, having this stream of consciousness is better than if I just called the day off. So if y'all are rocking with me, if y'all are enjoying this video, be sure to hit the thumbs up button and smash the subscribe button if you're enjoying the topic, the stream of consciousness tonight. Yeah, I'm not too good at this harmonica thing, but still trying to practice. I enjoy playing it. I feel like it gets my mind off of, you know, reality sometimes. Gets my mind off reality sometimes when I just want to relax. One thing I like about the harmonica is my favorite instrument because you can put it in your pocket. So if I'm like, I just want to take a break from reality, I might be in my car. I can just, it might be in the house, in the living room, in my room, might be taking a walk. If I'm going into downtown in DC, I like to take the bus instead of drive so I don't have to worry about parking. While I'm waiting at the bus stop, I can just waiting on my Uber. So I don't know if anyone out there plays instruments, but if you're looking to pick up an instrument, I would suggest the harmonica. You can get one cheap, like $20, $20, $40. You can get a cheap harmonica, learn some songs. It's pretty easy. But it's a nice distraction. And that goes back to the mental health thing. Like different hobbies, leveling up your character, right? I just picked this up in, I want to say October. So it's been a little over 6 months, what, 8 months now? But over time, you just play a little here, play a little there. 5 years goes by, 10 years goes by, you level up your character. And that goes in more ways than one. More ways than one. Here, let me show y'all what I was going to make a video about. So, in case y'all haven't heard, there was recently a major attack which President Joe Biden greenlit on Russia. President Joe Biden provided these attack missiles to Ukraine with the proviso, with the understanding and the promise that the weapons would not be used to attack Russia directly. This is what Joe Biden told the American people. Joe Biden told the American people, although we're providing Ukraine with weapons, we will not allow them to attack Russia on Russia's soil. These weapons will be used to only defend Ukraine. But apparently, the war is not going so well for us right now because in an apparent act of desperation, the United States has greenlit this attack. And this is a horrifying moment. Death rained down from the sky over a beach in Russia after a Ukrainian missile was shot down in Crimea, killing 4 people. The victims, among nearly 120 tourists, were hit by fragments after it was blasted out of the sky above Sevastopol. Devastating footage shows families enjoying the sunny weather before the harsh storm forced them to flee for their lives. Russian officials claim they shot down 5 missiles in total as they flew over Crimea, with the 5th munition breaking up into deadly debris over the beach in Yuzhny. The Kremlin on Monday blamed the U.S. for the Ukrainian attacks on Crimea, in which the 5 U.S.-supplied attack missiles killed 4 people, including 2 children. Moscow formally warned the U.S. ambassador that retaliation would follow. Retaliation would follow. In an open threat to NATO, Moscow said such actions won't go unexecuted. A deliberate terrorist missile attack was carried out on the city of Sevastopol by 5 American attack missiles equipped with cluster warheads. Responsibility for the deliberate missile strike on civilians in Sevastopol lies primarily with the U.S., which supplied these weapons to Ukraine. NATO should keep this in mind that such actions will not go unanswered. And again, we see footage of innocent civilians on the beach getting bombed in Russia. Right? Now, this is what I was going to talk about tonight. That was going to be the topic of conversation. But again, sometimes we just got to sit back and say the serenity prayer. You know, God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change. Russia is promising retaliation. Okay. Okay. Let me ask you, what is in Ukraine that makes the American government willing to risk this type of escalation? If Russia has been bombed, we see their innocent civilians getting attack missile cluster bombs dropped on them, and they're promising to respond not just against Ukraine, who actually dropped the bombs, but against the United States directly, the folks who provided the bombs. Ukraine is not a NATO member. Ukraine is not the poster boy for democracy, as they would have you believe. What is so important? What is so important in Ukraine that it would lead us to risk a direct conflict with Russia, a peer adversary who has more nuclear bombs than us? What is so important in Ukraine? What is so important in Ukraine that this is something that we should risk nuclear Armageddon over? Hmm? What do you think? We're going to talk about this. I might have to make a follow-up video on that topic, but I was just not feeling it, man. I gotta be honest with you. I was like, look, I can go in. I can always go in on topics like this. You know, that's low hanging fruit. But sometimes you just gotta take a moment and woosah that all the way. Right? Sometimes I don't even want to think about all the stuff that's going on in the world, because ultimately we've got no power or control over it. Am I right? Am I right? All right, guys, I'm going to call it with that. I appreciate everyone who's made it this far in the video. Be sure to support the channel by hitting the thumbs up button. Hey man, let me tell you something. When I shout out and say salute to all the subscribers and all the folks who leave comments, I'm not just saying that. I really do mean it. Y'all really do keep me motivated to keep this thing going. And I mean it. Because a lot of times I'll be feeling like, what's even the point? A lot of times I'll be feeling like I'm just here yelling at the wall. Nobody listening. Nobody cares. What's even the point? I might as well just use this time to go watch The Office reruns or something. Right? But y'all who like shout out and salute to Emmanuel Breaks, y'all folks who be leaving comments in the comments section, hitting the thumbs up button, checking out all the new subscribers, y'all really do motivate me to keep this thing going. And oh yeah, this is a sponsored video. This is a sponsored video. We had to get in a video. It might have been a bit of a stream of consciousness, but salute to the sponsor of today's video, which is a sickle cell PSA. Before we get out of here, let's be sure to check this out.
I bought the stuff. What's going on?
I need cannabis. My crises are coming more and more frequently. I'm a mess. I asked my doctor for stronger drugs, but my doctor thought I was faking it or abusing my meds.
I've got cannabis, but the FDA has yet to approve any cannabis products specifically for treatment of sickle cell, and related pain. Besides, pot only masks the pain, it doesn't heal. And only 9 states acknowledge sickle cell disease as a condition eligible for medical marijuana treatment.
I don't care. Just give me something. I'd prefer smoking cannabis, but with my acute chest syndrome, smoking could just further aggravate my condition.
Here, choose this. But you really should try to talk to your healthcare provider again.
Adults like Roberta with sickle cell often turn to cannabis due to receiving insufficient opioid doses from medical caregivers and facing increased stigmatization when asking for additional meds. Further aggravating the situation is the fact that the severity of their suffering is often underestimated by healthcare providers, leading to a treatment gap. Most sickle cell individuals that use cannabis for pain relief experience clusters of multiple withdrawal symptoms during periods between uses and may experience negative changes in sleep, mood, mental state, energy, and appetite. It's best to talk to your healthcare professional to see if cannabis is right for you.
Boom! All right, guys, that is episode R of our sickle cell PSAs. We are blowing through these sickle cell PSAs, guys. And it's interesting that tonight's sickle cell PSA was on cannabis use, as we're talking about mental health and the negative, sometimes negative and positive effects that cannabis use can have on sickle cell patients. One way that a lot of sickle cell patients try to mask their pain is through the use of cannabis. But as we all know, your lungs were made to inhale oxygen. That's it. The Most High gave us lungs equipped to inhale and filter oxygen through our body, not smoke. So whether you say, "Oh, well, I don't smoke cigarettes, it's just weed." Yeah, well, weed isn't good for you or your lungs either. So if you are going to go down the cannabis use route to mask your pain as a sickle cell patient, I would suggest edibles. All right. The marijuana plant is an herb. And as Rasta has been told you, herb is from Jah, it's from the Most High. All right. The Bible itself says the herb shall be for the healings of the nation. Look it up. The herb is for the healing of the nation. So I'm not against cannabis. I think that cannabis has its rightful uses. in moderation. But I would suggest sticking to the edibles, but that might be a story for another video. That's going to be it for today's video. I appreciate everyone who's made it to the end. On your way out, be sure to hit the thumbs up button, and if you haven't before, smash the subscribe button. If you're new to the channel, guys, a lot of times I have more focused and more specific, more prepared videos. Tonight, this is just a mental health detox, stream of consciousness video. I'm just kind of chilling tonight, just speaking out whatever the Most High puts on my heart. All right, so tonight was just a bit of a stream of consciousness, just saying whatever comes to mind. All right, so I hope y'all enjoyed it. This was a bit of a unique video for this channel, but you know, I might make some of these every so often, sort of sporadically. I might have just a chill live stream, and I hope y'all can rock with me on those. I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.